Bill C-22 is also known as the Canada Disability Act. This is a huge, potentially once-in-a-generation change in addressing poverty for people with disabilities.
We all hope that we will get this right. If that's not the case, the historic moment is lost.
Women with Disabilities, Income Security and Tax Policy was a workshop hosted by Osgoode Hall Law School on November 11, 2022. It brought together members of the disability community and leading academics to exchange ideas and perspectives on the design of the Canada Disability Benefit Program. The papers presented at the workshop will be published in the Osgoode Hall Law Journal.
Who is going to talk about the hard reality? Where does the money come from? How do we know who is poor? How do we know who is disabled? We all want to help, but how do we use law to draw a line?
I really think that we have to grapple with some of these really hard questions, like how are we going to measure income? And how are we going to measure your family? Your family is who you're living with and whether you're able to draw on resources of other family members when you are, living your life. And so when we're thinking about who is in that family, it's actually a pretty tough decision because sometimes you have kids who are living with their parents, but they're, over age 18. Sometimes you have a grandmother or an aunt that's living with you. Are they part of the family? Well, that's a tough call sometimes. These are actually deep social questions, and I don't have an answer of how to measure these things, but I do know you have to grapple with this because when you get down to the black and white, you gotta make some choices about who's in and who's out when you measure these things, and we got to think hard about those.
Consultation, discussion, inclusive process takes time, and that's why the details cannot be written into the legislation before that consultation process is over.
Nothing about us without us is really the key principle. And it is important because historically, persons with disabilities have been marginalized, discriminated against, even institutionalized. Obviously, we should be consulted because it's about us.
There are a number of tax benefits that are available for people with disabilities, and that includes tax deductions, non-refundable tax credits, and refundable tax credits. There are so many programs that it becomes what is commonly referred to as a patchwork of social programs. These programs actually benefit people who are able to contribute economically, so people who have higher incomes, and it actually excludes people who have lower incomes or are not able to contribute economically.
The government has very intrusive measures to monitor who is disabled, who is poor, and that creates a lot of stress and stigma, and it's also, to me, very costly. If the Quebec model is used, it's based on income, not on needs. And needs are very hard to define in law. But income, as an income tax scholar, I know we have spent over 100 years learning how to measure everybody's income. So if we have an income-based program like the Quebec program, I think the system is easier to design, it's more objective, it's going to be perceived to be more fair.
On January 1st, 2023, Quebec will implement its basic income program, and it should actually lift out of poverty about 84,000 persons with disabilities. This is a pretty interesting program. It does give insights into what C-22 could be.
Introducing a national disability benefit would put Canada certainly at the top of the countries in the world. If this program is proven successful, it may be the first step for a national-based minimum income guarantee for every Canadian. That will be the world first as well. So we're heading in a direction that is very exciting.